This is Mrs. McGuire, and so what we're going to be making today is a hand-tied bouquet. Specifically, the bouquets that I'm making today are for a wedding, and so these, she wants them a kind of rustic looking, kind of bohemian, but more classic, where you can see all these flowers. So I've already made four, but she's looking for six, and this is basically what they look like. See every part. So we're using an assortment of roses, assortment of dahlias and hydrangeas, and a lot of greenery and a lot of filler. Um, we want to construct these in a way that's going to be easy for us to handle, as well as go in a method that's very similar every time you make a bouquet, so that way all the bouquets, whenever the bridesmaids are holding them, that they all match. So the best way to do that is through a hand-tied bouquet like method. So when I take a stem, I'm using the web of my hand like this, and I take a stem, and you'll see how I just place it on my hand like this, and then I rotate my hand, go back, and I place the stems like that. Okay, so that's kind of what we're going to work with today. Our materials, we will need Oasis binding wire. That's what we're going to use at the end. And I snip them with these. And so what I usually like to do is start off with a large mass flower in the middle, some of my mass flowers, and then I just kind of go and rotate in a spiral around the bouquet, keep adding flowers, and I try to stay with the same pattern roughly for every bouquet. So I have my little cooler here in the back, but as you can see, I have, for the most part, assorted my flowers in bunches, so it's easy for me to just pick up. So I'm first going to start off with a hydrangea. Look how pretty it is. It's quite large, but what's cool about hydrangeas is that you can put things in the middle of them because there's many parts to a hydrangea. So the first thing I'm putting in is just a little bit of filler, and see how I can just like drag that in the middle of the hydrangea. It looks a little bit like an alfalfa piece right now, like just sticking up randomly, but it'll start to blend like this, like in these bouquets, as I add more things. So the greenery I just added also kind of fills as a filler because it's a different color. It's part of the willow family, and it's called Agnes. I also want to add just a little bit of eucalyptus. These small little leaves like this is called gunny eucalyptus. So I'm just adding a little bit because this adds texture and kind of makes it look more rustic. This is not a garden rose, but this is a rose that is a little higher in price, but you can see how there's many layers. These are called heart roses. Heart roses, meaning that they're kind of making a shape of a heart. And so it's not like a perfect heart, but it just means that there's a lot of petals, a lot of layers. And so this is a really heavy rose. So I'm putting it right next to my hydrangea because I want it to be supported by the rest of the bouquet. I want to differentiate my color. And so what makes colors blend whenever you have a white flower with a really dark flower is if you kind of put a flower of this different color or a mixed color in between. And so the way all my stems are right now in my hand, I'm just closing it like it's kind of like a duck hand, but I'm closing it like this. Okay? And so I'm just squeezing it with my hand. But now that my foundation, like the middle part of my bouquet, is established, I now want to stack my stems right next to each other, but now all of the stems that I insert are going to be at a 40-degree angle, okay? And see where my fingers are open down here? that's where I'm going to put the next stem. So I'm looking to see if the face of the roses or the flowers are where I want them to be. And I'm just sliding it in, okay? I'm then gonna rotate my hand. So I'm grabbing it with my right hand with my watch, but I'm now, so I'm anchoring it, like holding it in place, but now I'm moving my duck hand, my holding hand, without the watch, so I can keep adding flowers in a spiral motion, okay? And I want to differentiate the flowers as much as I can. I'm going to put in a little bit of filler. So because it's a wedding, I'm using fancier flowers. You won't see this for stuff that you guys necessarily get to take home. I'm really sorry. But this is called a stilby, okay? It's a filler flower, but it's pretty fragile and it's super expensive. It's almost like $20 a stem. And so I'm like, what? That's a lot of money. It's almost $2 a stem. Whereas filler really should be cheap because you're filling up your arrangements with it. And so it's like, I need a lot of these pieces for one arrangement. Do I really want to spend that much money? But because it's a wedding and this flower is really freaking pretty and it has like really nice tones and it's the texture that we want, I went ahead and spent the money. So I put a little bit of filler. Now I want a dahlia. So this is her main flower. I always think that a wedding has like a signature flower. This is her main flower. It's called a dahlia. I want to see if you guys can really see it in the light. These are super sensitive, but they're super in season right now. And what's hard about dahlias is that they're not straight up like a rose. See how it has a natural slant? Sometimes they're totally flat-faced. And so you have to be very careful, but I just want to make that slant work with me. I'm going to fit it right there. I'm going to add in a little bit more greenery. Make things look even, nice. So as you can tell, as I manipulate with this, all I'm doing is that I can take this each stem. If I want it to be lower, I'll just lower it. If I want it to be higher, I'll push it up. But because I'm holding on to it right here, these flowers are basically staying in place. Okay. I now want to break up my flowers a little bit with a form flower. I got a lot of mass flowers going on. Also, notice that I just cleaned the bottom of that stem. Okay, and it's because we don't want the bride or bridesmaid to hold on to leaves, right? We don't want them to hold on to leaves. We want them to have a nice, clean, like even like thorns. We don't want them to touch thorns as they hold on to their bouquets. And so it's important that the bottoms of the stems are really clean. So I try to do that before I start adding on product, like adding them into the bouquets. But sometimes I just get busy and I have to clean them while I do this. So I just added another heart rose. And now I think it needs a little bit more pink, so I'm going to add in another pink. We're using 5 of these pink roses because they're kind of my only pink that I have. And so, again, I'm just stacking them in my hand this way. And so ultimately you want the bottom to look like this. That's when you know that you're doing a spiral correctly, is when, I just found a thorn. When you're doing a spiral correctly, they're gonna start fanning out like this and should ultimately look like a spiral at the end. You'll see. So again, I kind of clean the bottom of this. It means it's ready to be added. Also, I only have 3 pieces of a stilby, so I have to pay attention to where I'm putting them. So I already have one right here. I think I need another one right there, and then hopefully my third one will go like this. So I'm making like a small triangle, which is what we want in floral design. So this rose, hot mess, right? I gotta take these leaves off. I want another dahlia because I like them. A little bit more greenery. Time for some Agnes. Sometimes I just make up my own names. Just kidding. I try to stay as much, stay as close to the true name as possible. And sometimes I don't pronounce them correctly. So what I just did there is that I noticed I didn't like how much green that was sticking up. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna push that stem down, and it's so easy to do because it's right here. So all these stems are pretty loose. However, I know that they're gonna stay in place where I put them because they're still being pretty anchored right here. But like right now, like these white roses are too far out for me, so I'm gonna push them back in. I want this guy to come out, this guy to come out. So I'm gonna be manipulating this throughout the whole arrangement. Now, I think it's time for a cremone. We have a little net. Very carefully take off the net, taking off all the leaves, pulling them off, and see how that starts opening up. You can fluff it out if you'd like. And see how I've already come back around. Okay, I'm like already here, so I'm going to adjust my hand again. I need some pink over here. So I'm trying to develop like a pattern. So it's like flower, like burgundy flower, red flower, pink flower, white flower. Burgundy flower, pink flower, white flower. You know, I'm trying to mix it in. But then also put in greenery, 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 filler. Greenery, 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 filler. So now I think it's time for elasticity to come in. Cleaning that bottom, 40-degree angle, right here. Now do you start seeing, also, I don't know if you can see this quite yet, but I have a spiral going on with all the stems in my hand. Okay. Also, you don't want the same flowers like right next to each other. So it's like if I wanted to put a dahlia in right now, that probably wouldn't be a good idea because there's one right here. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate my hand. We need some red over here. I'm going to add some red spray roses, some form. And if other flowers just kind of get knocked out of place, just put them back. Now I'm going to put another white spray rose. I think we need some white on that bottom. Now I can put a dahlia right there. So you can see how this one's like totally flat, right? But I'm putting this at a 40-degree angle. You don't want to put it like this because if I do, the bride's only going to see the back of it, but she's paying for that. Okay? But you don't want to like push the head all the way up against the other flowers because it's going to break. So what I'm going to do, let's go with it. Okay? And so you can still see the face right there. There's not a lot of pink right here, so I'm going to add one. Voila. My hand a little bit. I think I need some white over here, so I'm going to add a cremone. Taking off that net. Being very sensitive as I open up the petals. Right there. I don't ever really want to block other flowers because that's money. So now I'm at it up with still be, but now I'm going to add one of my other favorite, like line filler flowers. It's a Veronica. Okay, white Veronica is very pretty. Also kind of expensive, but if you were planning a wedding for flowers, Don't be afraid to spend money on nice things when it comes to bouquets. And just say, hey, sorry, this is how much I'm gonna spend. Because I make nice things, right? Like, this looks nice. These look nice. I make nice things. So I want to build up my portfolio or whatever for your guys' case. And I want to put nice things in there. So I'm going to pick out nice, expensive flowers. Okay. Again, I know that I'm still doing this correctly because it's in a spiral motion. And again, I'm just rotating it. I'm going to add this guy back. I'm going to add a Veronica. Greenery. So I got a few greeneries going on. I'm going to put some seeded eucalyptus that acts like a filler too. And then that was a really strong upright stem, so it kind of holds my flowers in place too. So I need some pink over here. Add that. Here. Prop that guy up. Add my Veronica. And I'll move over here. So also notice that this petal is kind of like looking a little janky. I'm just gonna take it off. Need some more greenery over here. I've decided to add some Gunny-Uke. Break it up. See how that just like breaks up the color? Makes it look a little nice. We haven't used Agnes in a while. Again, we don't want any leaves to be in the hands of the bride as she's carrying her bouquet. So I'm just going to do my best to clean it. Because once we wrap this, it's going to be really hard to clean. Okay. I got one red rose. So what I'm doing, it's dangerous. You shouldn't do this. You should either use shears to snip off your thorns, but I also, like when I'm like, I have my hands full, I go on the sides and I try to break them off on the side. That's kind of the lazy forest really good. So I was just explaining what I was doing. I wasn't showing you or telling you you should do that, okay? Alright, alright. Maybe. And then it looks pretty good. But this is full of flowers. This is also huge. Okay, that's my problem as a florist. I get really, really big. I get like, okay, these are going to be in your pictures. I want them to look nice. I want everybody to have a nice bouquet, not just the bride. Okay. But I explain that to my brides, and they're like, cool. And eventually, people start searching out for our school or for me, and are like, I like your bouquets. I want them. Do them how you do them. And so this isn't one little flower, right? But they're kind of large. But notice that they're different than these. Okay? Also, all of our flowers are gone. We used them all. That's really good. But they're different than these because I need to use the greenery that I've set aside. I didn't use one of my pink roses, that's okay. Now, what we're gonna do is basically make, you can really see the spiral now. See the spiral on there? Okay. We're gonna make almost like a necklace by tucking in these pieces of greenery. Okay, so now it's like I'm going to go all the way around, putting them in the same angle, all the way around the bottom of the bouquet, so that way I'm filling it up. So like this guy, putting it right under here, so it kind of goes even with the things that are already sticking out of it. Okay, moving it around. And there's some people that want it to be really heavy. That's called bohemian. So when there's like a lot of greenery on the bottom, it's called bohemian, and it's really, really thick and luscious, which is fine. However, some people don't always want that. So you really have to specify. It's like, I try to do ratios with brides, like, would you like half and half? Like half of the bouquet look like it's totally green and the other half sunflowers. Or would you like majority flowers and it's still like a lot of greenery on the bottom? That's what she wants. Okay, so I'm just adding, see how there's like some greenery right here? And I'm just gonna rotate and keep adding it. So you see, it's like just a way to finish off. Still putting this at 40-degree angles, rotating my hands. So now I can fill it up. Meanwhile, if my flowers start moving, I can just put them back. Moving the flowers up and down to my desired location. I'm using mostly gunny eucalyptus because that's what I used for the other bouquets, and so I just want them all to match, but I'm still gonna add some seeded eucalyptus too. I'm not really adding any more Agnes, just because I'm kind of done with that color. The color's there that I want. I want it to be now just greenery, like just green on the bottom. And also, you don't want like the tips of your greenery to be so heavy that it's hanging down and you see a gap. Just because that looks unprofessional. It doesn't look finished, it doesn't look good. So see how this one's really hanging? And you can see like a gap between the flowers and the seeded. Well, I'm just gonna use another stronger stem, put it up underneath that seeded, and now there's no more gap, it's like supported. This is looking pretty dang good. How do you say so? I also try to have like a mirror in the classroom, but right now this camera's my mirror, and you can just see if you like it or not, if it's pretty even. Still naked right here, gotta add some more. Angle. Of course, I get some leaves in my hands. I'm just going to pick those off now. You can get as full as you want. So I really like the short pieces, but I don't really like that piece. So I'm just going to snip it at the bottom. So we're good. Okay, I think I'm done. So what some people do is that look at all these crazy stems, right? And you can see the spiral a little bit. See how it spirals in my hand? See how they're all stacked on top of each other? Like that. I don't want to totally let go of it, but you can see that it's fanned out so much that if I cut this flat, it should like stay on a table. Should. before I tie it, I always try to double check to see if this is the shape I want. If I have like a random flower sticking out or whatever, I don't want that. So I think it looks good. I'm going to take about 1.5 feet of binding wire, cutting that. Binding wire is really cool because it has like cloth or like a raffia type material around wire, and so it doesn't cut into your stems like regular floral wire would. Okay, so where I'm putting this is that I'm taking the middle of my wire, putting it on top of my thumb. Okay, it's up there. Probably can't really see it, but it's up there. And then, and that's from the middle of the wire. So now I'm just bringing the two tails together, making sure it's really secure over those stems, over my hand. And now with my other hand, with my watch, I'm holding them really, really close, and I'm twisting the wire really tight, and I'm twisting it and pushing my finger up on the wire, and I'm pushing that twist to be up against these stems. This is not the only thing that's going to secure this. We're also going to, I mean, some people can put floral tape if they want to, and we're also going to wrap this with ribbon. So this bouquet is really going to look like this. And I'm going to wrap it, I'm going to probably cut the stems off right around there, right there. And then I'm going to wrap it with ribbon. So this is how it's going to look when I walk down the aisle. Okay, let's see, but see how it comes straight out? It's because they're all in a spiral. Let's see if I did it good enough. I'm going to try to cut this as straight as possible. And the test is that will we be able to let this stand alone on a table? Let's see. So again, I want this to, for all the ends of the stems, like be flat, not necessarily be round. So let's see if it works. Oh, hey. It's officially standing by itself. We did it. Good job. Thanks for watching my awesome video. And stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.